So this is a tag from Cara at Pagancrafting. Thank you for tagging me, Cara. And it is called Show and Spell. So if you'd like to take part, feel free to give a tour of your storehouse. The word apothecary has several meanings. So usually it's associated with a pharmacist or a pharmacy. But if you go back to the Greek etymology of it, it actually means storeroom. And so the apothecaries were generally run by monks in the olden days. There were certain herbs that you could find kind of generally in many storerooms and in gardens that they were growing in different monasteries, but they were finding the same things over and over again because they were using them medicinally. These have grown into what we know today as the Latin names for any herb that has officinalis. It means like official or office of. Any plant like lavender officinalis, sage, all these plants that we see officinalis attached to, these plants have been used for a really long time. So when we talk about apothecary as a witch, some of us are healers, some of us are using this to transform and change. So we have our storerooms, our apothecaries, whether we're using them medicinally or spiritually for spell work, we are using them to make change. Having said that, I was going to go through my stores and kind of consolidate and get rid of some stuff because I'm not using stuff that I have. So this was a good time to do this tag anyway. Let's see. So I'm going to go through questions as I show you, I guess, what I have and maybe pick out things that I'm not going to be using anymore. The first question is origins of the collection. What inspired you to start collecting apothecary items and how did you begin your collection? I would say I first started my apothecary medicinally. I started getting into herbs when my animals were sick. And I was going to a veterinarian who practiced Eastern and Western medicine. And so I actually learned quite a bit from him because he would send herbs home and he would tell me what they were for. And then I would go research them and look them up. And then I'd come back with like more questions. And he became sort of inadvertently a teacher, unofficial teacher. That was my interest in herbs initially, was how can I make my animals better with these herbs? Especially because I was going through cancer with 2 of my cats and I was looking for absolutely anything and everything that would help. So that is where my initial interest started. I don't think I collected an herb magically. I think I just went to my cupboard and just pulled things out that I could use. I remember I had empty spice jars, so I took off the labels and then I stuck on these. It's really funny, actually I have some, let me show you. I found these labels at, I think it was World Market around Halloween time, and I was like, oh, those are cute, and I just started using them to put on jars of different things. This is ginger, powdered ginger. But I also had rosemary. What else? It's not focusing. I had rosemary. I had pepper. I had salt. I had chamomile. What else did I have? I think that's about it. And those are probably the initial things I started with that were already a part of my cooking cabinet or tea cabinet. Literally, you'll see like there is nothing actually telling you what this is. I mean, I don't need to. You can look at it and see what it is, but it smells like ginger. But when you start getting into the things that are a little harder to identify, then it can be problematic to not label properly. Then what I did was I found labels on Etsy and I bought these. Actually, let me show them to you. I bought these little jar holders. They didn't have any lids, so I put corks in them because they fit. So I did that and I slapped the Etsy labels that I got on them. Again, they are not indicative of what's in the jar. So like in here, these are poison labels, by the way. Here's thornapple, oleander, foxglove, and wisteria. None of these labels tell you what's in the bottle. In here, I've got cat and dog whiskers that I collected. Thornapple, that's just sage. Oleander is cascarilla powder or eggshells. This one's unlabeled, and this has milkweed seeds in it. Oops. Foxglove, this is rose petals from my garden. And then this is unlabeled, and this says wisteria, but it is not wisteria. It's dried hydrangea, also from my garden. And then here is nasturtium, and it's only one single nasturtium flower that I collected. So, I mean, I know what all this stuff is. I know it's improperly labeled, but all right. Yeah, nobody's coming in here to go through my stuff, so it's not really that big of a deal. All right, here's where we get into the crazy. Oh wait, did I answer that question properly? Okay, I guess I did. Storage. What do I use in any special significance behind my choices? I would love to actually have more of these jars. I mean, these bottles with the plug. I can't talk. The corks in the top, but the stands that you put on the wall are pretty flimsy, so I would not want to actually use these to hang more stuff up because these have already fallen a couple of times. So luckily, knock on wood, nothing has broken. So basically, I just, for the most part, take jars that are empty from food, and then I take off the labels, and then I reuse them to put other stuff in. And then I label things. This is currently what I'm doing with a chalkboard label so that I can erase them and then rewrite. Generally, I just put what it is. I don't put a date on it necessarily. I'll put a date on it if it is something that can expire, like something I've made, like an oil or something like that. But I don't generally have dates on the ingredients. Oh, here's another old one that I was telling you about earlier from those Halloween labels that I found. This also has rose petal in it. See, I could like consolidate these two things. And I will, so I'm gonna leave that out. Here's one, it's not labeled, but it is hibiscus from the garden. It doesn't smell good. But you know what? I don't like the taste of hibiscus, so that's on me. I wouldn't think it smells good. Daffodil or jonquils, also from the garden. Persimmon seeds. It's only 3 of them. I've actually had these forever. I could get rid of them too. Calendula, and you can tell it's old because it's light. The other thing that I like to do is store in glass rather than plastic. There are some things I will store in plastic, but I just don't like plastic vibes. I prefer glass vibes. I think plastic is kind of the equivalent to a microwave, and it deadens things. I don't know if you are sensitive to microwaved food. When I cook food in microwaves, there is something less alive about the food. I can taste the difference. This is dirt I collected. I painted the top with chalkboard paint, and then I use chalk on the top to label it. It's not very sexy at all, but it's useful. I also have this, and I don't actually know what it is. It comes off a tree. If you do, let me know. There are these little spiky red spiny things that are technically, I think, the flower of that tree, but they're pretty fiery looking to me. So I use them intuitively. I've used them for a fiery element. Orange peel. Let me see if I can get some better shots for you, because this is also like not that interesting to watch. I've got hawthorn berries, star anise. These are rose thorns that I picked off of the plants in my garden. Here's sandalwood oil. Here's rosemary. Basil. I have little skull beads, rose quartz. I only have it in here because I found it in the middle of the street, actually. Somebody must have dropped it and it was shattered in pieces. So I just stuck it in here to keep it all together. I have orange blossom water and salt water. I use these usually for my altars for cleansing when I'm changing altars out. It's flowers that I have collected in my neighborhood. I spent the spring and summer seasons just picking up every petal, every flower that I found and stuffing them in this jar. And then there's an old 4-leaf clover on top too, because it's fragile. But it smells divine. It smells like you have your face in flowers, which you do. There's so many different kinds. I've pulled from here when I wanted something specific that I didn't have that I'd collected. I just love shoving my face in it and sniffing it. My nose, I pick up scents really easily. I can smell things that a lot of other people can't, so I'm very affected by scents. Oh, I know what these are. These are tobacco seeds. And these are shavings of selenite from one that broke. Here's jalapeno seeds. I really like having these vials though. They're really cute. Creosote. This also smells divine. It's story time now. I had a subscriber reach out when Morley was sick and having skin issues, and they said to try creosote on his skin. I didn't because his liver was compromised, and this can cause liver issues. It can have a toxic effect. You need to be healthy to use this. So I did not, but based on her suggestion, I put a piece in my shower at the time, like a branch of it. It smells so good. It's lovely. These are from a witch shop, and they are still in plastic. I've got bloodroot. You can use it in the place of blood. It's very caustic to the skin, so you have to be careful when you're working with this, especially if you're gonna put it in like water, and just don't let it sit on your skin. So you can use it in place of blood. This has also been used to get rid of like warts and topical skin things. I would not recommend doing that though, unless you have somebody overseeing it. Here's alkanet root. This is a dye. You can use this for, you can even see the plastic has already been dyed, like right there. You can use this for makeup or for fabric. That's all I got for you right now. Wormwood. This I was using a lot in my necromantic work. Every once in a while, I will intuitively go to the witch shop and look through their list of herbs and just pick a few that I've never worked with or I don't know about, just so I have it and I can expand my base and play. Myrrh, vervain, wormwood, all of this stuff I used in my necromantic work that I was doing earlier this spring. Frankincense for copal. There's black copal and white copal, and they do smell very different. Copal, it just smells amazing. Dragon's blood. What else do I have in here? Dittany of Crete. This is for spirit work. Psychic and spirit work. Mugwort, kind of self-explanatory. Also divination, astral plane stuff, psychic stuff. And here, I have never used this with you guys, but this is really fun. Magnetic sand. This is for magnetizing stuff to you. I should probably go back to the questions because I have deviated quite a bit just by going through these. Okay. Oh, let me show you. So here's rose salt. I showed you how to make this. This is, like a really good explanation of why you should label your stuff, because I didn't. I just stuck it in here and threw it and thought, oh, I'll just remember. And it's either parsley or cilantro. I'm not sure which, but it stinks. So it's going. Crossroads dirt. Here's chamomile. Also not labeled, but I know what it is. This is hair. This is my own hair for tag locks. I actually have other kinds of hair here. I don't mean that. I mean like fur and feathers and stuff. Water. This is some kind of water, which I didn't label. I'm sure it's either a new moon or a full moon water, and it's time to water a plant. Favorite items. Can you show us your favorite item from your collection and explain why it holds special significance? I mean, we've only gone through one shelf. We still have 2 more shelves to go through. I would say, okay, well, let's keep going through the shelf and then I will stumble upon that and show you. I've been collecting these. I have a project in mind. They're crow feathers. Okay, here's tree resin. This is like from my last trip that I went to the mountain. This is milkweed fluff. It's not the seeds, just the fluff. This I utilize for air, as an air element, just like you would a feather or incense. Hummingbird feathers. Pigeon feathers, like the pretty part of the pigeon. The pigeon, like the iridescent blue. I found those on the sidewalk. I thought they were hummingbird feathers at first until I realized they're way too big. Snake skin I found. Money drawing oil that I made. Piece of rough quartz, also from the mountain, that I love to go to. Here are dead fig eater beetles that I find. 2 lizard tails. We have skinks here that are wild. That's that. Here's fur from a cat fight that I collected a while ago. I have another video where I talk about, maybe I'll link that here too. This is from my dog Ludo, who passed away, and hummingbird nests. I did not take a nest from a bird. They were already abandoned. And then garnet beads. So these I've all collected mostly just because it's around me and I'm interested in them. The cat fight fur, I would use it for vulnerability, or I mean, if I wanted to inflame a situation. I've not used it for that, but you could. Hummingbird nests, for anything that's related to home or fertility. You know, it just depends. It depends on what kind of spell you're wanting to cast. Oh, we're not done. We still have the bottom. There actually isn't that much there, but we'll get to it. What I use the most right now is probably rose. Rose gets put in a lot of stuff, partially because it's protective, and it's also, it creates softness too. Historical significance. What are some of the most historically significant pieces in your collection, and can you share any interesting stories behind them? I have my wand here that's pretty quintessentially witchy, right? I use this to help consolidate energy into a point. It's great for if you want to cast a circle. Sometimes I do use it in spell work, just to get my intention more specific. Because if I think of my intention, right, and I usually just think of it and put it into the ingredient, charge it and go. But sometimes it's really good to use this as an extra focalizer. You could charge it with your hands, which a lot of people do, but you can also focalize things and use a wand instead and point the wand. Be like, I'm using you for protection, Rose. My favorite witch shop in San Francisco is closed. It was called Scarlet Sage. They were actually an apothecary. They had a really large bulk herb section and lots of medicinal stuff, but they also had a lot of books and crystals and anyway, you know, the gamut, tarot cards. So like, I walked in and I had gone through this shop and was going to get a couple things, and I did not see the stand with the wands on. It was right behind me. It was like the register was here and the stand was right behind me, and I happened to turn around and I saw there was a vase of wands, and I was like, oh! And so I went over and I looked at them all, and I picked up several and there was nothing. And as soon as I picked up this particular wand, I felt something. I had a feeling in my hand, like it felt alive. And I was like, this is it. I don't know what wood it is, but I do know it's recycled. It's made out of a recycled piece of wood, which I really appreciate about it. So anyway, I love this wand. Spellcraft integration. How do you incorporate these apothecary items into your spellcraft, and are there any specific items that you find particularly effective? Rose for both protection and softening. Here, this is the water that I have that is not labeled, but I know what it is. It's midsummer and full moon water from this summer. I'm using it specifically for healing and energy. This is necromantic ink that I made. In here I've got rose hips. There's St. John's wort here. That's good for protection. Ancestor oil, I showed you that, right? I have a video in Patreon on how I made this. This was based off of the ancestor oil that Mortellus made in their book. I'll just leave links. I've got a lot of links to leave for you guys. Yeah, I showed you everything. Oh, I do grow tobacco as well. This is I use it for an offering for both of my grandfathers who have passed over. That's pretty much what I use tobacco for, because they both were smokers, so it's just a great offering. I have taken it to the cemetery too, and left it on gravestones of some of the people that I've worked with there. They appreciate it. They like it. So that's a tip I can give you. Releasing incense, summoning incense. So patchouli, I hate the smell of it, but whatever. Mullein, I do have locks. This actually, historical significance. This is an old lock, the shape of a heart, that I have had since I was a wee tot. I used to play with this thing when I was a kid. Still has the same string and everything that I put on it. And this was somehow passed down. It's like a family heirloom. I don't know the story behind it, but I do know that it's probably one of the older things that I have, along with my grandfather's carved pocket knife. And I use locks to open doors or close doors. Oh, rare finds. What is the rarest or most unique item in your collection, and how did you come across it? I think I just showed you the lock. Care and preservation. What steps do you take to preserve and care for your apothecary items, especially the more fragile or older pieces? I would say the fragile things like the fur that can disperse easily, they just go into like glass things so that they don't get whooshed away or by like a breeze or something or come apart. Future additions. Are there any specific items or types of item that you're currently searching for to add to your collection? So in terms of future plans, I have some devil's shoestring, also from the witch shop, Angelica, cinquefoil. I do plan to do a road opening spell using these particular items, so they're just stashed until I get all the stuff. What's the most bizarre? Maybe the most bizarre is probably like the lizard parts. I mean, that's pretty specific to desert culture, and also people typically don't collect lizard parts. If I could only keep one ingredient, what would it be? I don't really know how to answer that. I don't know if there is one ingredient that I would keep, because I've been thinking a lot about paring down, and like I don't need most of this stuff. there's anything I needed, I would say nothing. I don't need anything. I think it's nice to have. I think it helps direct intention. All right, what advice would you give to someone who is just starting their own apothecary collection? I think I would just say start with what you're drawn to, even if that's just something in your spice rack, whether it's like salt, rosemary. I know those are like very basic. Pepper, you know, those are kind of like the staples, I would say. But start with what you are drawn to. That's what I would say. I'm very intuitive about this. My intellect around my process is secondary to my gut feeling and my intuitive urges around all this stuff. So, you know, you're asking somebody who uses this stuff to support their intuitive process rather than as like a go-to academic by the book person. I'm just not that person. Never have been. Probably never will be. That's why I'm terrible at math. Oh, and who would you tag to do this video? Let's see. Man, I don't want anybody to get offended if I don't say them. So I'm just gonna pick the first couple of people that pop into my mind. Trish from Beanbag Hagwag, Arcanum, who was the Witch of Dark Light, and Emily's Witchcraft and Tarot. Those are 3 people that I'm tagging, but if you are interested in doing the tag, you do it too. So consider me saying this an invitation to you to do this too, and you can tag me back so I know.